They run, they chase, they cling, because deep down, they fear being forgotten. They fear being abandoned. They fear irrelevance. And in that fear, they bleed weakness. You see it everywhere. Men begging for attention, people selling their dignity for validation, leaders grasping at control they no longer truly have. That hunger, that visible desperation, is the fastest way to lose power. But you, if you're listening now, you are not here to be ordinary. You're here to become untouchable, to sharpen your edges until the world cuts itself against you. And the first step to that power is simple: detachment. The ability to step back, to release your grip, and to never be enslaved by anything or anyone. Detachment is not cold apathy, it is cold control. It is looking at everything, money, status, love, respect, and saying, I can take it or leave it. None of it owns me. The moment you can truly walk away, you shift the balance. You bend the rules of the game. Suddenly, everything starts moving toward you. People become intrigued by your silence. Opportunities appear where doors once seemed shut. Even enemies hesitate, because nothing is more dangerous than a man with nothing to lose. The desperate man is predictable. The detached man is untouchable. He creates gravity. He becomes the prize, and the world cannot resist orbiting around him. If this truth resonates with you, write it in the comments right now. Power in detachment. Let the week scroll past in silence. Your words will mark you as someone who understands the first law of cold power. Number 1. Machiavelli's cold truth. Machiavelli understood something most men will never dare to accept. Life does not reward the good. It rewards the effective. Strip away illusions, and you will see that the world is not governed by morality. It is governed by power, perception, and fear. People claim to admire virtue, but in reality, they kneel to strength. They may whisper about fairness, about justice, about loyalty, but when forced to choose, they will side with whoever appears stronger, colder, more decisive. This is why you must never drown in sentiment. Machiavelli wrote that it is far safer to be feared than to be loved, because fear holds people steady, while love is fragile, fleeting, and conditional. What does this mean for you? It means stop looking for affection. Stop seeking approval. Stop begging to be understood. These are traps. What you need is control. Control over yourself first, and through that, control over others. Detachment gives you that control. When you no longer cling to outcomes, people, or possessions, you radiate calm dominance. You signal, I cannot be owned. I cannot be bribed. I cannot be manipulated. And when others sense that, they begin to bend toward you without realizing it. They want what you withhold. They crave the approval you do not give. They respect the silence you do not break. This is cold psychology. It is not about chasing, but about positioning yourself so that others cannot help but chase you. Consider this. The desperate man makes promises. He throws resources at people. He over-explains himself. The Machiavellian man does none of this. He creates mystery. He withholds his hand. He waits. And in that stillness, he controls the game. People project power onto him because he does not rush to prove it. His scarcity becomes his strength. This is the cold truth. Men who master detachment rise, while those who cling fall. The king does not beg for loyalty, he demands it by presence alone. The general does not plead for obedience, his soldiers follow because his composure makes them believe he cannot be defeated. And you, if you cultivate this coldness, will find that your world reshapes itself. Opportunities begin to multiply, not because you screamed for them, but because your silence forced others to bring them to you. Now pause. Look at yourself honestly. Where are you still desperate? Where are you still clinging? What are you afraid to walk away from? That fear is your cage. That attachment is your leash. Break it, and you become free. Break it, and you become powerful. Write it in the comments right now. Detachment is domination. Stamp it into your mind, etch it into your will. And understand, this is not theory. This is reality. The cold truth Machiavelli left behind is not for the faint of heart. It is for those willing to sacrifice comfort for control. Number 2, the gravity of indifference. Indifference is not weakness. It is not passivity. It is the sharpened edge of power hidden beneath a calm mask. When you master indifference, you master leverage, because nothing enslaves you and everything chases what it cannot fully grasp. Think about it. The more desperate a man is, the more invisible he becomes. He screams for attention, yet no one listens. He bends his back for validation, yet no one respects him. Why? Because desperation exposes need, and need is weakness. The world is built to exploit weakness. The merchant raises prices when he sees urgency. The rival strikes hardest when he senses fear. Even in love, the one who clings the hardest is the one who is discarded first. Now reverse the script. Imagine you approach life with cold indifference. You do not beg for wealth. You act as though wealth must earn the right to come to you. You do not collapse into obsession over relationships. You make it clear that connection is a privilege, not a lifeline. You do not race after status or recognition. You remain silent, patient, deliberate, while others expose their hunger. What happens? People lean toward you. They begin to crave the approval you do not hand out. They begin to chase what you do not chase. This is the gravity of indifference. It pulls everything into your orbit precisely because you do not lunge for it. Your restraint becomes irresistible. Your silence becomes louder than their noise. Your stillness creates tension that forces others to move first. And in that dynamic, you hold power. Machiavelli understood that appearances control perception. Indifference, when mastered, is the ultimate appearance of strength. The indifferent man communicates, "I am already whole. Nothing outside me can complete me. You will come to me, or you will be forgotten." That statement, spoken without words, creates submission in those who cannot comprehend such composure. Think of kings. A king does not run through the streets begging for loyalty. He sits on his throne, silent, unshaken. His presence alone forces others to seek his favor. Think of a general. He does not scream his authority. His calmness under fire radiates control that makes his soldiers believe he cannot be defeated. Power flows toward those who show they do not need it. Now here's the paradox. Indifference is not inaction. It is the most strategic form of action. It is restraint used as a weapon. By not reacting, you dictate the pace of every interaction. By withholding your hand, you force others to reveal theirs. By showing no visible desperation, you push others into desperation. This is psychological warfare, and it works in every arena: business, relationships, leadership, even conflict. The man who shows indifference in negotiation gains leverage. The man who shows indifference in romance becomes irresistible. The man who shows indifference in conflict terrifies his enemy because he appears impossible to rattle. This is why I tell you, indifference is not just a mindset. It is a strategy, a Machiavellian tool that will bend the world toward you if you learn to wield it. But beware, indifference is not easy. It requires discipline. It requires tearing away your need for validation, your fear of loss, your addiction to comfort. Most men cannot handle this. They crave too much. They cling too tightly. They fear too deeply. They want to be seen, loved, understood. And in that craving, they forfeit their power. But you must be different. You must become the man who needs nothing so that everything bends toward him. Ask yourself, where are you still weak? Where do you still beg silently in your heart? Where are you still chained by desire? That is where you must harden. That is where you must cut away attachment until only cold steel remains. When you no longer beg, you no longer fear. When you no longer fear, you become untouchable. And when you are untouchable, you become the gravitational force that others cannot resist. Type it now in the comments. Indifference is gravity. Let me see who is capable of engraving this truth into their mind. Let me see who among you is ready to step into the cold power most will never dare to touch. Remember, indifference is not the absence of care. It is the elevation above need. And in that elevation, you rise above the noise, the chaos, and the desperation that enslaves the masses. That is where power begins. That is where you become unshakable. Number 3, weaponizing emotional distance. Power is never about how loud you speak. Power is about how silent you remain when others are unraveling. And nothing creates more power than emotional distance, the art of holding yourself above the storm, untouched, unmoved, untouchable. Most people are slaves to emotion. Watch them. They rage at insults. They beg for affection. They collapse when ignored. Every flicker of external pressure bends them like weak metal. They reveal themselves with every reaction. Their emotions become a leash, pulled by anyone clever enough to tug it. And once you see this clearly, you understand why true rulers, true predators, never bleed emotion in public. They save it. They conceal it. They weaponize it. This is emotional distance, the discipline to withhold reaction, the cold strength to stand calm when others burn with rage, to remain silent when others vomit out their weaknesses, to look indifferent when others beg for validation. Do this, and you create asymmetry. You appear carved from iron while they appear fragile, breakable, desperate. And in that imbalance, you gain control. Machiavelli would tell you, men are easily deceived, easily manipulated, easily led, not because they are stupid, but because they cannot master themselves. They betray themselves with their faces, their words, their trembling hands. Emotional distance turns you into the man they cannot read, the man they cannot predict, the man they cannot control. You become the question mark in their mind, and uncertainty breeds fear. Understand this. When people don't know what you feel, they cannot calculate how to move against you. When they don't know what you desire, they cannot dangle it as bait. When they don't know what angers you, they cannot provoke you into mistakes. The man who masters emotional distance becomes untouchable in any negotiation, unbreakable in any rivalry, unshakable in any relationship. Think of history's great conquerors. Julius Caesar showed mercy not out of kindness, but out of strategy. His restraint confused his enemies and won him loyalty. Napoleon's soldiers marched across continents not because he was their friend, but because his cold, commanding aura made them believe he could not fail. They radiated control even in chaos, and that control became their greatest weapon. And you, yes, you listening right now, must learn this same discipline. Never show your full emotions to the world. Never hand your enemies the map to your weaknesses. Never give anyone the power to say, "If I push here, he will break." Instead, teach yourself to absorb insult without twitching, to accept rejection without folding, to endure loss without begging. The man who can stand in fire without screaming is the man who terrifies everyone watching. Emotional distance is not numbness, it is dominance. It is not the absence of feeling, but the mastery of expression. You still feel rage, desire, pain, but you choose when to reveal it, and more importantly, when to conceal it. That choice is power. That control separates leaders from followers, rulers from slaves, predators from prey. Now, let's cut deeper. Relationships. This is where emotional distance gives you an empire. Most people fail here because they confuse attachment with strength. They think loving harder makes them more powerful. They think begging for attention proves loyalty. They think chasing endlessly will earn them respect. But the truth is brutal. The more you need someone, the less they respect you. Dependence destroys attraction. Desperation kills admiration. Emotional distance flips this dynamic. When you can stand strong with or without someone, you become magnetic. You stop begging for love, and instead, love begins to beg for you. You stop clinging to respect, and suddenly, respect clings to you. This is not arrogance, it is gravity. By refusing to be enslaved by emotion, you force others to rise to your level or fall away, and either outcome strengthens you. Do not misunderstand me. Emotional distance does not mean isolation. It means self-control. It means building a fortress within yourself so powerful that no one can breach it. From that fortress, you decide who to let in and on what terms. You are not carried away by tides of affection or storms of anger. You remain the immovable rock while others break against you. This, my listener, is how you weaponize emotional distance. You turn silence into a sword, restraint into a shield, indifference into a throne. You stop handing power to the world, and instead, you force the world to come to you on its knees. Ask yourself this question now. Who has emotional power over you? Whose approval do you still crave? Whose rejection can still crush you? That is your weakness. That is the rope binding you. Cut it, and you ascend. Cut it, and you will see how quickly everything begins to chase what it cannot control. So write it in the comments right now. Cold distance, absolute control. If you have the courage to live this truth, make it visible. Let the world know you are stepping into cold power while others drown in weakness. This is not for the faint of heart. Most will fail because most cannot stand alone. But you are not most. You are being prepared to stand where kings stand, to walk where conquerors walked, to become untouchable in a world of fragile men. And emotional distance, weaponized, sharpened, mastered, is how you get there. Number 4, turning silence into a weapon. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is pressure. Silence is power. The weak fear silence because it forces them to confront themselves. The strong wield silence because it forces others to confront you. Most men reveal too much. They drown conversations with words, justifying, explaining, pleading, proving. Every sentence is a confession of insecurity. Every attempt to fill the air is a signal that they are uncomfortable with stillness. That discomfort makes them prey. The man who cannot hold silence will always bow to the man who can. Now, imagine you. You sit in a room, still, unshaken. You let others speak, let them stumble over their words, let them reveal more than they should. Your silence becomes a mirror. They see themselves, their flaws, their fears, their desperation. And without realizing it, they start to chase your approval, your validation, your reaction. This is the weapon of silence. It pulls confessions, mistakes, and submission out of those too weak to master it. In negotiation, silence terrifies. The moment you stop talking, the other side panics. They rush to fill the void with concessions. They expose their true limits. They reveal what they value most. You say nothing, and yet you gain everything. This is why silence is sharper than any word. You let them defeat themselves without lifting a finger. In conflict, silence dominates. A man who screams reveals fear. A man who argues shows doubt. A man who stays calm, silent, composed, he is the most dangerous presence in the room. Why? Because unpredictability breeds fear. They do not know what you're thinking, and that ignorance eats them alive. Silence in conflict says, I am above this chaos. I strike when I choose, not when you provoke. That restraint alone terrifies those who rely on emotional warfare. In relationships, silence seduces. Most men chase endlessly, texting, calling, begging for scraps of attention. They smother the other person with need. But the man who can remain silent, who can wait, who can hold his ground, he becomes magnetic. His absence screams louder than presence. His silence makes them wonder, why isn't he chasing me? Why isn't he desperate like the others? And that question pulls them closer. Indifference combined with silence is irresistible. Machiavelli himself would tell you, the appearance of strength often outweighs actual strength. Silence is appearance. It creates mystery. It makes people project power onto you. They imagine what you might be thinking. They assume you know more than you reveal. And often their imagination will grant you far more authority than words ever could. But here is the danger. You must discipline yourself to wield silence correctly. Silence is not passivity. It is not weakness. It is not hiding in fear. It is calculated, controlled, strategic. You choose when to speak and when to remain silent. You choose when to withhold and when to strike. This is not retreat. It is the art of control. Think of it like a blade. In untrained hands, silence is nothing but dead air. In the hands of a strategist, Silence cuts deeper than any insult. It unsettles rivals, breaks negotiations, and ignites attraction. The man who cannot be read cannot be controlled, and the man who cannot be controlled rules everyone around him. Now ask yourself, how often do you speak just to ease tension? How often do you reveal too much just to avoid silence? How often do you hand power away because you cannot endure the stillness? Every time you fill silence out of fear, you weaken yourself. Every time you break before the other man, you forfeit the battlefield. From this day forward, train yourself to sit in silence. Train yourself to watch. Train yourself to let others reveal themselves while you remain unreadable. In that stillness, you will see their desperation. You will hear their weakness. You will feel their fear. And when the moment comes, you will strike with words so sharp, so deliberate they cannot recover. Remember this, words are common. Silence is rare. Words are cheap. Silence is priceless. Words expose. Silence conceals. And the man who controls silence controls the battlefield of psychology. So write this now in the comments. My silence commands. Stamp it into your identity. Let the world chatter, scream, and drown itself in noise. You remain calm, cold, silent. Because silence is not emptiness. Silence is dominance. Silence is the weapon of kings. Number 5, fear versus respect. Fear and respect, two pillars of power that most men will never balance. Weak men beg to be loved, thinking love will protect them. But Machiavelli stripped away that illusion centuries ago. Love is fragile. Love fades. Love is conditional. Love bends in the wind like weak branches. But fear roots itself deep in the human psyche. Fear endures even when respect wavers, even when affection dies. And so, Machiavelli told the truth most cannot bear. It is safer to be feared than loved. But here's the nuance. The highest level of power is not to be merely feared, nor merely respected, but to weave the two together so tightly that no one can separate them. You must embody both. You must be respected for your discipline, but feared for your consequences. You must be admired for your strength, but dreaded for your wrath. That balance is what makes a man untouchable. Look at the leaders who endured. They commanded respect because they were competent. They instilled fear because they were uncompromising. Without respect, fear becomes rebellion. Without fear, respect becomes weakness. Together, they create an aura of inevitability, a sense that you cannot be challenged, cannot be broken, cannot be replaced. Let's break it down. Respect comes from discipline, from consistency, from mastering yourself. People respect what is rare, and discipline is the rarest trait of all in a world addicted to comfort. When you show restraint, when you demonstrate control, when you live by principles instead of impulses, you command respect. They may not love you for it, but they cannot deny your strength. Fear, on the other hand, comes from consequences, from being unafraid to enforce boundaries, from showing the world that betrayal has a price, that disrespect will not go unanswered, that stepping into your domain without permission brings repercussions. Fear is born when people realize you do not bluff, you do not beg, you do not hesitate. You strike when necessary, and you strike decisively. Combine the two, and you rise above the ordinary. Respect alone will have them admire you, but they may test you. Fear alone will have them obey you, but secretly plot against you. Both together will have them admire, obey, and hesitate to even imagine standing against you. That hesitation is power. Now, how do you build this dual aura in your own life? Start with respect. Discipline is your foundation. Be the man who is consistent in his actions, who does not crumble under pressure, who does not live by excuses. Wake early when others sleep in. Work while others waste time. Keep your word when others break theirs. This is how you carve respect into your reputation. People cannot help but admire the man who masters himself. Then add fear, but not through cruelty, not through pointless aggression. Fear must come from controlled, cold consequences. When someone disrespects you, you do not whine. You do not beg. You withdraw your presence, your resources, your approval. When someone betrays you, you do not rage. You make a calculated move that ensures they understand the cost of crossing you. Fear must never come from wild emotional outbursts. That is weakness masquerading as power. Fear must come from silence, precision, and the certainty that you do not hesitate to protect your boundaries. Machiavelli wrote that a prince who relies only on love will fall because love is tied to loyalty, and loyalty is fragile. But a prince who enforces fear creates obedience even in disloyal hearts. In the same way, you cannot rely on the affection of others to keep your throne. You must cultivate both admiration and dread. People should respect you for your mind, your control, your achievements, but they should also fear losing you, fear disappointing you, fear awakening the part of you that does not forgive easily. Think about your own life. In your friendships, do they respect your time, or do they take it for granted? In your relationships, do they admire your independence, or do they assume you will always be there, no matter how you're treated? In your work, do colleagues see you as indispensable or as replaceable? The answers to these questions reveal where you lack fear, where you lack respect, and where you must harden. Here's the truth: balance is rare. Most men collapse into softness, desperate to be loved, terrified of being disliked. Others swing too far into cruelty, wielding fear without wisdom, and they end up isolated, betrayed, or destroyed. But the rare man, the Machiavellian man, cultivates both. He is respected for his discipline, admired for his stoicism, but also feared for his resolve. He does not need to shout threats. His very presence is a reminder that he cannot be tested without consequence. When you embody this balance, you change how people behave around you. They choose their words carefully in your presence. They second guess before crossing you. They admire your composure, but they also know, deep down, that your silence could turn into thunder if they provoke you. That is power. That is rule without needing a crown. So where do you begin? Start with self-respect. If you do not respect yourself, no one else will. Enforce discipline on yourself first. Train your body, sharpen your mind, cut away weakness. Then extend that same standard outward. Do not allow anyone to treat you in ways you would not tolerate from yourself. When someone tests your limits, enforce consequences, not with rage, but with calm precision. And finally, remember this: you do not need everyone's respect, and you certainly do not need everyone's love. You need to build an aura so cold, so undeniable, that those who matter will respect you, and those who dare oppose you will fear you. Everyone else? Irrelevant. So commit this to memory. Respect without fear is weakness. Fear without respect is fragility. But fear and respect combined, this is dominance. This is the foundation of empires. This is the code of kings. Now pause for a moment and look at your life. Where do people respect you, but do not fear crossing you? Where do people fear you, but secretly despise and resist you? Balance those scales, and you will unlock a level of control most men can only dream of. If you understand this truth, write it now in the comments. Feared and respected. Let me see who among you has the courage to embrace the dual edge of cold power. Number 6, the fortress within, building inner power. Every empire that ever fell had one thing in common: it was breached from within. Rome wasn't destroyed only by invaders. It rotted through corruption, indulgence, softness. The same is true for men. Your downfall will never begin outside. It will always begin inside. If you are weak internally, no amount of external armor will save you. But if you construct a fortress within yourself, strong, cold, unshakable, you become immune. You become untouchable. This fortress is not built from stone or steel. It is built from discipline, from self-control, from principles that cannot be corrupted. It is psychological, spiritual, and behavioral. And once it is built, no insult can pierce it, no betrayal can collapse it, No enemy can storm it. They will attack, yes, they will try, but you will remain still, cold, immovable, while they burn themselves out against your walls. Machiavelli wrote that fortresses could sometimes be more dangerous than protective if a prince relied on them too much. Why? Because a physical fortress can create isolation, complacency, and weakness. But the internal fortress, this is different. This is the kind of fortress that follows you everywhere. It doesn't make you isolated. It makes you sovereign. It doesn't make you passive. It makes you unshakable. So, how do you build this fortress within? 3 pillars: discipline, detachment, and dominance over the self. Pillar 1, discipline. Discipline is the foundation. Without it, your fortress crumbles like sand. Discipline means you command yourself before you command anyone else. Your body, your habits, your time, they obey you. Weak men beg for motivation. Strong men enforce discipline regardless of how they feel. Wake when you say you will wake. Train when you say you will train. Work when you say you will work. Break promises to yourself, and you are already conquered. Keep them, and you lay bricks of unbreakable stone in your fortress. The disciplined man doesn't need applause. He doesn't need accountability groups. He doesn't need external pressure. He is his own commander, his own army, his own enforcer. This terrifies the world because most men are slaves to impulse. But you will become a slave to nothing. Pillar 2, detachment. Discipline strengthens the walls. Detachment empties the gates. Detachment is refusing to let external events breach your fortress. Loss does not break you. Rejection does not shake you. Failure does not humiliate you. You look at everything life throws at you and respond with cold composure. I remain, detach from praise, and you cannot be manipulated by flattery. Detach from criticism, and you cannot be destroyed by insults. Detach from possessions, and you cannot be enslaved by wealth. Detach from needing people, and you become the rarest man alive, the one who chooses freely, never from desperation. When you detach, the world loses its hooks in you. No bait can tempt you. No insult can provoke you. No loss can weaken you. You stand inside your fortress, watching storms rage outside, and yet you do not move. That silence, that control, it creates fear. It creates respect. It creates power. Pillar 3, dominance over the self. This is the final layer. Discipline gives you structure. Detachment gives you freedom. Dominance gives you sovereignty. To dominate yourself is to master emotion, hunger, and weakness. You feel desire, but it does not enslave you. You feel fear, but it does not stop you. You feel rage, but you do not let it break your composure. Most men are prisoners of themselves. They sabotage their own empires with indulgence, laziness, distraction. They hand their power to lust, envy, greed, or comfort, but not you. You will sharpen your self-awareness until you know your own weaknesses more clearly than your enemies do, and then you will choke them out one by one until nothing remains but strength. This is what makes you dangerous. You do not seek to conquer the world until you conquer yourself. You do not try to rule others until you rule your impulses. You do not demand loyalty until you demand obedience from your own mind and body. The aura of the fortress. Once you've built this fortress, people feel it. They don't need to be told. Your presence alone radiates it. They see it in the way you don't flinch under insult. They sense it in the way you don't chase or beg. They recognize it in the way you keep your word even when it costs you. You stop being just a man. You become a force. Enemies test you, but they cannot penetrate. Allies respect you because they know you stand on unshakable ground. Lovers chase you because they feel you cannot be owned. Opportunities flow to you because the world is drawn to stability, and nothing is more stable than a fortress that cannot be moved. And here's the paradox. The stronger your internal fortress, the less you need to prove it. You don't shout, you don't flaunt, you don't brag. You simply exist in quiet, cold authority. The insecure scream for recognition. The sovereign does not need it. His silence speaks louder than any proclamation, the work of a lifetime. Do not mistake this for an overnight transformation. Fortresses are not built in a day. They are built brick by brick, stone by stone, choice by choice. Every time you honor your word to yourself, another stone is laid. Every time you resist impulse, the walls grow thicker. Every time you detach from desperation, the gates grow higher. Every time you dominate a weakness, the foundation grows deeper. This is a lifetime's work. But when you commit to it, the reward is beyond imagination. You become the man who cannot be manipulated, cannot be shaken, cannot be destroyed. You walk through the world with calm inevitability, and people feel it. They whisper about you, they follow you, they fear crossing you, they respect you without you asking. So pause. Ask yourself, what weaknesses still rot your fortress from within? Where do you still collapse when pressure comes? What desires still enslave you? Those are your cracks. That is where you must begin the work, because until you patch those breaches, your empire will remain vulnerable. Write it in the comments right now. My mind is my fortress. Declare it, not to me, not to them, but to yourself. Because when you speak those words and mean them, you begin laying the first stones. This is Machiavelli's cold truth made flesh. The prince who cannot rule himself cannot rule his state. The man who cannot conquer his own mind will always be conquered by others. But the one who builds the fortress within, the one who lives with discipline, detachment, and dominance, he becomes untouchable. He does not just survive, he rules. Number 7. The psychology of scarcity and power. Scarcity is not just economics, it is psychology. The rare becomes valuable, the common becomes disposable. And in human behavior, this law is brutal, inescapable, and absolute. The more available you are, the less you are respected. The less available you are, the more you are desired. Look around. People chase what they can't easily have. They obsess over limited editions, rare experiences, forbidden fruit. And yet, they take for granted whatever is always present, always chasing, always available. This truth extends beyond objects. It applies to people, to relationships, to leaders, to influence. If you are everywhere, you are nothing. If you are scarce, you are everything. Machiavelli understood this deeply. A ruler who was too familiar with his people, who was always present, always accessible, quickly lost authority. Familiarity breeds contempt. Overexposure erodes respect. This is why kings sat on thrones above the masses, why generals withheld their presence until the moment of battle, why wise men spoke rarely but decisively. The less you reveal, the more they imagine. The less you appear, the more they chase your presence. So, let's strip this down to your life. If you're always calling, always texting, always chasing, you've already lost. Your value diminishes with every desperate attempt at attention. People may tolerate you, but they will never admire you. They may use you, but they will never pursue you. Scarcity flips this equation. When you withdraw, when you limit access, when you stop throwing yourself at people, you force them to recalibrate. You force them to wonder, why is he absent? What is he doing? Who is he with? That curiosity is power. Now understand this, scarcity must be intentional, not accidental. Weak men retreat because they are ignored. Strong men retreat because they are calculating. Your absence must radiate strength, not weakness. You are not retreating out of rejection. You are deliberately making yourself rare. And when you do this, your perceived value multiplies. Think of negotiation. The desperate seller floods the market, begging for buyers, lowering his price, cutting his worth. The powerful seller withholds. He makes people wait. He makes them compete. He controls supply, and in doing so, he controls demand. You must treat your presence the same way. If you are too available, you are cheap. If you are scarce, you become priceless. Now, consider relationships. The one who is always there, always calling, always bending, becomes invisible. The one who is scarce, who withholds presence, who appears only on his terms, becomes irresistible. Absence creates longing. Longing creates obsession. This is not cruelty, it is psychology. Human beings value what they fear to lose. But here's the dark side. Scarcity alone is not enough. Scarcity must be paired with quality. A rare item of no value is just forgotten. A rare man of undeniable strength, discipline, and mystery becomes legendary. This is why your scarcity must be reinforced by your fortress within. When you appear, you must appear as someone carved from stone, disciplined, detached, dangerous. Otherwise, your absence is meaningless. Understand, scarcity magnifies whatever you already are. If you are weak, scarcity makes you irrelevant. If you are strong, scarcity makes you magnetic. That is why the foundation of your fortress matters. That is why discipline, detachment, and dominance come first. Once those are in place, scarcity multiplies them into a gravitational pull. Let's go deeper. In leadership, scarcity creates awe. A leader who speaks constantly is ignored. A leader who speaks rarely, but with precision, becomes unforgettable. A ruler who is always seen loses mystique. A ruler who is glimpsed occasionally becomes a legend. People follow legends more fiercely than they follow ordinary men. You must cultivate that same aura. In personal power, scarcity creates leverage. Imagine two men. One is always available, always eager, always saying yes. The other is measured. He chooses his engagements carefully. He turns down more opportunities than he accepts. Who is respected more? Who is chased more? Always the second. His scarcity communicates that his time, his energy, his presence are valuable, and people respond accordingly. But scarcity is also dangerous if misused. If you vanish completely, people forget you. If you retreat too long, they stop caring. Scarcity must be balanced with presence. Appear rarely, but when you do, strike with impact. Be silent often, but when you speak, make your words unforgettable. Withdraw when necessary, but when you return, let your presence shake the room. This is how scarcity becomes power, not absence for absence's sake, but absence that creates tension, followed by presence that commands awe. Think of the sun. It disappears every night, but when it rises, the world cannot ignore it. That is how your presence must feel. Scarce, but impossible to overlook. So let's test you now. Ask yourself, where in your life are you too available? Where do you flood the market with your presence? Where do you lower your value by chasing? These are the leaks you must seal. You must discipline yourself to withdraw strategically. You must teach people to crave your presence, not take it for granted. You must stop begging and start commanding. Scarcity is not about cruelty. It is about control. It is not about depriving others. It is about elevating yourself. You are teaching them that your presence is a privilege, not a right. You are conditioning them to see you as rare, valuable, untouchable. And once they see you this way, the dynamic shifts forever. Machiavelli would tell you this: the prince must never make himself too common. The prince must never dilute his presence. The prince must never hand himself out freely like bread on the street. He must remain scarce, elevated, mysterious. That is what keeps people loyal. That is what keeps them chasing. That is what keeps him in control. So write it now in the comments. Scarcity creates power. Declare it. Burn it into your mind, because if you forget this law, you will spend your life undervalued, overlooked, and overused. But if you master it, you will become the rare man in a world of common men, and the rare man is always the one they chase. Number 8, becoming untouchable. You've walked through the laws, you've seen detachment, you've seen silence, you've seen scarcity, fear, respect, and the fortress within. You've tasted the steel of Machiavelli's cold truth. But this is where all those fragments converge. This is where they stop being pieces and start becoming a whole. This is the moment of synthesis, the step where you stop studying power and start embodying it. This is where you become untouchable. Understand something clearly. Untouchable does not mean invincible. No man is immune to pain. No man is immune to loss. You can bleed, you can lose, you can stumble. But untouchable means no one owns you. No one manipulates you. No one dictates your path. You bend when necessary. You adapt when necessary. But you never bow. Even if they strike you down, they cannot break what you've built inside. Becoming untouchable is not about arrogance. It is not about pretending the world cannot touch you. It is about forging yourself into something heavier, sharper, stronger than what the world can carry or break. Most men build castles out of sand. The first storm destroys them. The untouchable man builds himself out of stone. The waves may crash, the storms may rage, but he remains. He bends only when bending preserves his power, never when bending means surrender. It begins with detachment. Without it, everything else collapses. Detachment makes you immune to the hooks others try to sink into your flesh. They want you needy. They want you predictable. They want you addicted to their approval. That's how they control you. But you deny them that control. You don't cling. You don't beg. You don't kneel. You stand. And in that stillness, they feel gravity pulling them toward you. Detachment doesn't mean you don't care. It means you cannot be enslaved by what you care about. You can enjoy money without being owned by money. You can enjoy respect without being enslaved by the crowd's opinion. You can love deeply without letting love make you a beggar. That is the foundation of being untouchable. From detachment, you sharpen emotional distance. Most men are puppets of their emotions. They rage when insulted, beg when ignored, collapse when rejected. Their leash is obvious, and anyone clever enough can pull it. The untouchable man cannot be provoked. He cannot be baited. He doesn't bleed emotion in public. He doesn't hand his enemies the map to his weaknesses. When insulted, he smiles faintly. When pressured, he stays calm. When others beg for his reaction, he gives silence. That restraint terrifies, because a man who cannot be provoked is a man who cannot be controlled. This is why emotional distance is a weapon. It turns chaos into your ally because you remain still while others unravel themselves. Silence then becomes your next blade. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is pressure. Silence is dominance. Weak men drown conversations with words because silence makes them uncomfortable. They justify, they explain, they reveal. But the untouchable man holds silence. He lets others speak until they expose themselves. His silence becomes a mirror, forcing them to see their own fear, their own weakness, their own desperation. In negotiation, silence terrifies. The other side rushes to fill it with concessions. In conflict, silence dominates because unpredictability breeds fear. In relationships, silence seduces because absence creates curiosity, and curiosity creates pursuit. This is how silence turns from nothingness into power. Scarcity multiplies this power. The untouchable man does not flood the world with his presence. He does not hand out his time like scraps. He withdraws strategically. He makes himself rare. And because rarity is always valuable, his presence becomes priceless. Scarcity is not vanishing completely. That would make him irrelevant. It is balance. He withdraws long enough to create tension, then appears at the right moment with impact. His absence makes people long for him. His presence makes them submit. Scarcity creates mystique. Mystique creates desire, and desire creates pursuit. Fear and respect complete the picture. Alone, neither is enough. Respect without fear is weakness. Fear without respect is fragility. Together, they form sovereignty. The untouchable man is disciplined enough to be respected, decisive enough to be feared. He is admired for his control, but dreaded for his consequences. When people look at him, they second-guess before speaking. They hesitate before crossing him. They admire his composure, but deep down, they know his silence can turn into thunder if they provoke him. That hesitation, that pause before they act, that is power. And at the core of it all is the fortress within. This is the inner citadel that cannot be breached, built from discipline, detachment, and dominance over the self. Most men collapse under pressure because their fortress is rotting from within. They beg for motivation, they chase pleasure, they bow to impulse. The untouchable man is different. He keeps his word to himself. He disciplines his body and his mind. He rules his own hunger, his own fear, his own rage. This is why betrayal cannot break him, why rejection cannot humiliate him, why loss cannot cripple him. His fortress stands, and once people sense that fortress inside you, they treat you differently. They see stability in you. They see inevitability. They feel the cold authority of someone who cannot be moved. The untouchable man also engineers influence quietly. He shapes perception, masters timing, controls reciprocity, asks the right questions, and lets silence push people into revealing themselves. He builds alliances through precision, not noise. He doesn't force outcomes. He designs them. He makes people believe they chose freely, when in truth, they walked the path he laid out for them. That is the cold calculus of influence. And when you bring all of this together, something shifts. You stop being just a man in the crowd. You become a sovereign man, a man who validates himself, a man who weaponizes scarcity, silence, distance, and discipline. A man who forces others to chase him because they cannot resist the gravity he radiates. You don't need to announce it. You don't need to prove it. Your presence alone communicates it. Your composure communicates it. Your silence communicates it. People will whisper. They will speculate. They will follow. Some will fear you. Some will respect you. Some will hate you. Some will even love you, but none of them will own you. That is what it means to be untouchable. But here's the brutal truth. Most who hear this will fail. They will nod. They will agree. But they will return to weakness. They will cling. They will beg. They will crumble. Because this path demands sacrifice. It demands killing your comfort, your desperation, your need for validation. It demands turning your soft edges into steel. But not you. If you're still listening, something inside you rejects fragility. Something inside you wants to rise above ordinary men. That is why you're here. That is why you're hearing this. So I give you the test. Look at your life right now. Where are you still desperate? Where are you still predictable? Where are you still chained by fear of loss? That is your weakness. That is the crack in your fortress. That is where you must begin. And I want you to prove you've heard me. Write it in the comments right now. I am untouchable. Declare it. Claim it. Burn it into your mind. Because the moment you do, you take the first step toward becoming sovereign. This is not theory. This is not fantasy. This is Machiavelli's cold truth sharpened into modern reality. The desperate man will always fall. The detached man will always rise. The untouchable man, the one who builds the fortress, who wields silence, who enforces scarcity, who balances fear and respect. That man doesn't just survive, he rules. That man is you, if you have the discipline to claim it. Say it one last time in the comments. I am untouchable.